Welcome! This is Solopreneur Success Strategies, where we talk about mindset, your website, your brand, your social media marketing, your customers, how to sell to your customers, how to find your customers, how to talk about the skills and knowledge you need in your business, and free software and tools to help you save time, money, and be more productive, as well as strategy and systems here on Solopreneur Success Strategies. Welcome! Welcome! This is Jane Gardner, and welcome to Solopreneur Success Strategies. And I think I have to say I'm welcome again because I'm using YouTube. So welcome. This is Jane Gardner of Solopreneur Success Strategies, and welcome to World Domination Wednesday, where we talk about you and your customer, how to get your customer, how to keep your customer, defining what your customer wants first, of course, and keep growing your business with more customers. So today's all about you and your customer and how you can dominate their world as your business. My name's Jane Gardner, as I mentioned, and I work with my husband in our engineering firm for the last 20 years over in Western Canada, and still working, so it's been a long day, but I like to try and help others, so I'm out here right now talking to you to see if I can help you with your business. So let's have a look at our trainings for today. So the first question when we started out World Domination Wednesday was, who are your customers? And of course, everyone is not your customer, according to Seth Godin. So we're going to continue on, and we went and discussed how your customers are looking for your solution to their problems or to fulfill their desires. As well, we have an offer out there still, jgtips.com customer profile. In the first 3 weeks, we talked about defining who your ideal customer might be and how to define it and how to do research to craft your messages to your customer to attract them, and how to use tracking tools to measure your success. So the offer is that we will do 6 days of daily trainings with worksheets and questions for you to answer about yourself and your business so that you can quickly figure out who is your customer and who is your ideal customer. So that's my offer at jgtips.com/customer profile. But as you know, there is over 3.4 billion by now internet users online on the internet, and there's plenty of people out there to be your customers. And what you have to do is have the messaging that attracts them and have the solution to their problems or fulfill their desires. So of course you have to know who your customers are before you even get started. And before that, as we mentioned on our show, you need to know what your business is and why it benefits others in terms of your solutions. So we had a look at researching, looking at your demographics, your psychographics, your geographics of possibility of your potential customers, as well as looking at how you can do research on media and how you can do research on social media in terms of finding out the purchasing behavior of your potential customers. So there's lots of information out there, so you just have to start defining who your customer is. And ideally, if you can define the ideal customer experience as part of your brand, then of course your customers will become raving fans as they come back to buy from you again and again. But in order for that to happen, of course, you have to consistency, and you have to clearly define your brand, and you have to communicate your brand to your target market and make every part of your customer experience consistent. So we did that in a few other weeks previously, and you can check that out at Solopreneur Success Strategies on YouTube at jgtips.com/YouTube and find some of those previous episodes in order to figure out what is your ideal customer experience. And also on Get Your Message Out Tuesday, we had a discussion and looked at how to build your brand. And I have an offer on that too, jgtips.com/brand, and how to build your own brand in 6 days using the information that I give you and the video trainings. So there's plenty of ways you can learn about your customer. And so you can find out who is your customer. In order to do that, you need to start with your ideal customer, and you have to know what they want that you can give them. You have to know where to find your ideal customer, and you have to know when and how they like to buy. And then you know how to provide some of the features of an ideal customer experience. And so now you're ready to convert prospects into customers. Now, after all this, last week I had a discussion on maybe it is possible to have more than one ideal customer. For example, we could have a mother and her daughter. Mother is looking for a part-time business that she can do while the children are in school to make some extra money. We have a mature lady who's looking to fulfill her passion by starting a business in her senior years and make some money. And then we have a working woman who's tired of her job and she wants to go and become independent and have her own business as well. So even though there are different age groups, they all have the same desire, which is to start their own business. And I bring up those samples because those are the people that I want to meet. But anyway, so when we say ideal customer, it's more about what they're looking for than their age group, etc. But you can certainly start with a small group of your ideal customers because they'll be easier to sell to. So we had a look at how it is possible that people from different age groups with different needs can actually be also your customers at the same time last week. And so they, depending on your product or service, of course, they may be all your customers. So there is a secret to understanding whether a prospect can be your customer. And this is for this week, I'm going to tell you that potentially start talking about the secret, which is not the same secret as the secret, but it's the secret to understanding others as well as understanding yourself. I am an associate for the Consulting Resource Group. So 2 years now I went and did a workshop on personality development assessment, a workshop where we discussed personality and the principle of personal style. Basically, the principles behind that is that everyone, of course, has a personality, and it's based on your self-worth and the people who teach you and your emotional anchors that you have in the environment and your health and your religion and your physical health. But at the very core of everyone, there are 4 personal style preferences. They're called, we'll just briefly say they're action, and then there's cognitive, which is analysis, and then there's an interpersonal, which is harmony, and then there's the affective, which is expressive. And we are all have all 4 components in ourselves as a core of us when we are born. And yes, we were born that way. And then as we grow, we have different influences which change our personality and develop it, as we all know. Our self-worth, and our environment and our social teachers, etc., are all things that influence us. So this is the basic principle behind the Consulting Resource Group Personality Development Factors model. And from that, we can actually find out that there are different sales styles. And so if you're someone who is selling to others, or even if you're interrelating with others, whether it's your family or friends or strangers, you can detect what their personality might be if you look at their basic personal style. Now, I'm not going to get heavily into this today. I just wanted to give you an idea that it's basically a personality development factors model, and I'm an associate who's able to teach it. And we're just going to go briefly over, and you can think about this idea that the secret to understanding others and why they buy can be based on their personality and their personal style that's below their personality. One of the Ken Keyes is the president of a consulting resource group, And so he has a program called Why Don't You Sell the Way I Buy? And it's basically a workshop as well, where he uses it actually for corporate sellers, but you can also do it on an individual level. And basically your personal style affects how you buy. But and what is so great about knowing your personal style, and that's through assessments done through consulting resource group, etc., is that you know what you like in terms of selling or buying. You can also detect what other people's like through selling and buying, knowing some of the clues from the personal style development and model. So when you're doing selling, of course, you should always have a professional attitude, and you should have no games or surprises. The customer should be informed about the buying steps and given choices, and this will help to take the pressure off your customer possibly buying, obviously, their prospect before they're a customer. And so then also, another selling philosophy point is that you can use transition points between steps when you're selling. You can match the selling style to the customer's buying style, and knowing the various techniques that you can use to sell to others. And you can make small changes with equal major differences in results in what you say and how you listen, and what you listen to and how you interpret it, what you're listening to. And of course, you be always ask for the order and be non-confrontational, knowing that you're willing to listen, you're willing to adapt, you're willing to shift in terms of your personal style, which we won't go into right now. It can be a win for you, can be a win for the business, and it can be a win for the customer, because you're all interacting in a harmonious way. So for the customer-focused selling process, first, of course, you approach and receive the possible customer. You talk to the customer to find out what they're looking for, and then you confirm the needs that they want. And then you make your presentation with your information about your product or service. And then there's the purchase, of course, confirmation, and most importantly, there's a follow-up afterwards to make sure there's no more questions about the product or service to the customer, and of course, keep your relationship going with the customer. So this is a general type of customer-focused selling process that you can use, and you can call it reception of the customer, discovery of what they need, confirm their needs, make a presentation, and then make a purchase confirmation, and of course, most importantly, do the follow-up. So that's sort of the standard type of selling process for those of you who have never sold before. And then working with customers, what are the customer characteristics of those customers you find easiest to work with? And what are the characteristics of those customers that are most difficult to work with? Even in terms of personal relationships, you can use the same questions. So let's just say I find it difficult to work with very verbal and loud people because I'm a shyer and quieter person. This is based on my personal style. It's not shy is not a negative in this place. It is just a part of my personal style. There's physical factors behind this, but we won't go into that today. So, for example, that would be somewhat, if I was to be approached by a very loud salesman, a very huggy-feely type of person who wants to give me a hug, I withdraw because of the personal style that I have. So if you can become aware of the other person and who they are, you can approach them in a way that will make it so that you change your style to them. So, for example, the very loud salesperson would, of course, not go around hugging me, and and then also, of course, reduce their tone and be a bit more sensible, as I like to call it. So for that, I would probably be more successful because I'm more likely to listen, and they're more likely to listen to what I'm saying, and then we have a more successful sales process. So what this theory is, of course, is that you really have to first, of course, be willing to listen, and most importantly, listen hard to what the other person is saying, as well as knowing the different personalities and the personal style of others. You can have some clues that will tell you what kind of person they are and personality, and how you should tone down or ramp up your personality in order to match and or at least not turn off the other person in terms of their style. So there you go. That's the secret, is to it's always been the secret, is to listen to others. It's a very rare trait these days to people who listen to others and are willing to adapt, but that's for another day. So I have a course called You and Your Sales Style at jgtips.com/p-style, which is style is S-T-Y-L-E. And of course, it goes through how your personality and your personal style can affect how you sell, as well as affect the buyers and how they receive your selling process. So it's all about focusing on the customer and selling to the customer by listening to them. Obviously establishing the readiness and willingness of them or not to buy from you. And then obviously adapting to that situation and being able to give them either research or product or something which helps them to change from one level to another so they're more receptive to what you're selling. And then you have to understand credibility and how you have to be credible in order for others to perceive you as being credible. And then you have to identify your preferred selling styles and determine the customer buying style. So for the preferred selling style, we have a personal style assessment where you go and you can do the test and it'll give you the personal selling style of you versus someone else. Which we go over. And then we have some of the techniques on how to be able to work with different types of customers' buying styles, because there are different buying styles, which we won't go over here. And then, of course, create action plans so that you're prepared for when you go out to sell, that you either have the four to six types of selling ready, so that when you meet a customer, you'll be able to complement them and shift. It's called shifting to their style in order for it to be a more successful selling process. So that's the course. I haven't created it yet, so I'm looking for beta early adopters who are willing to come with me on this journey and learn what their sales style is. As well, of course, I do have a course on your personality, which just starts with learning what your personal style is, and then how to shift with your person and do other techniques so that you can work better with other people and their personal styles. That one is at jgtips.com/ I think it's personality. And then I'll put that up next week. But this one is jgtips.com /p-style. And this will help you sell more, especially on sales calls or when you're on the phone. I have certain techniques for when you're on the phone with a prospect. Since you can't actually look at them and see the visual clues, there are spoken clues on the phone, which will help you to understand who the person is on the phone with you and how you can shift your style to meet theirs and make a better sale. So yes, this is something new for me, and I was quite excited when I learned about personal style in 2014, because it basically was a life-changing moment to realize that who I am is who I am, and I was born this way, and that I don't have to feel awkward about who I am, or feel that other people can feel that I'm inferior in terms of being shy, etc., to others. And yes, and also knowing some of my quirks as well as my the wonderful things about me as well. So that's all for today. I think we'll have another, maybe I'll do a scenario next week on buying. I'll pretend we're in a store and we have 4 or 5 customers come in, and you have to guess what you have to do in order to be successful to sell to them. That might work. So we'll see you next week. This is Jane Gardner at jane-gardner.com. And this is Solopreneur Success Strategies, World Domination Wednesday. I hope you enjoyed thinking about what I'm talking about today. And I will have more about it next week once I set up some of the information about it next week. Thank you. Thank you for listening. This has been Jane Gardner at Solopreneur Success Strategies. Please go and subscribe at jgtips.com/programs, and also to find out about other programs as well over at jgtips.com/programs. And over there we have a free mindset magazine for you to check out at jgtips.com/mindset offer. So welcome. Thanks for listening, and I hope to see you again here tomorrow, as this is a 7-day-a-week show on mindset, your customer, getting your message out on social media and on your website, talking about strategies, talking about business systems, talking about all kinds of things, including the skills you need as a solopreneur. So please come back and subscribe at jgtips.com/programs. Thank you.